certain people who are still alive nowadays and who have an influence on the regime, how they relate to Fardid's ideas. Can you give us some names and biographies?
Good morning. Yes, actually, the legacy of Mr. Fardid was too big and also huge and very influential in sense of social and political after revolution in Iran. I think that I'm afraid that we cannot name all of these figures of Mr. Fardid in one session, but I have to focus in each session on one field because sometimes I have to go in details. Mr. Fardid was one of the very most rare figures who has a chance in both pre and post revolution to be on TV in Iran and also in university. That's why his legacy is very complex and also very, very important. If we want to simplify his legacy, we can use his own term, West-Toxification, that was welcome in post-revolution and by revolutionaries. But we have to consider that his students, all of them were influential also. They have influence also after the revolution and in post-revolution in era in Iran. We can be sure that most of non-clerics leaders of Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran after the revolution 1979, they were the students of the Mr. Fardid, and they followed his school of thought. Of course, there was some exceptions. Always there is some exceptions, but mostly the people who shaped the policy in Iran in both internal and external dimension, they were students and they were followers of the Mr. Fardid. The West-Toxification have in total 3 elements, or consist of 3 elements. One of them was the opposition with technology. The other one was being in last days and being prepared for the that apocalyptus approach to the life. And the third one is alienating or alienation. I think that this dimension I have less explained last session, but anyhow, this was also one of his thoughts, that the technology make us and alienating between make us alienated with our roots and our culture. And
let's just have a little break here.
Yes,
because this is an important subject. There's a lot of criticism nowadays, for example, that AI would lead to the same of what Martin Heidegger warned people in his time. So maybe there's some reason for these claims. Can you see some reasons, and can you differentiate between the radicality with which Fardid he was thinking on these 3 aspects?
I do not challenge what Mr. Heidegger and also Mr. Fardid claimed for alienating or alienation. Maybe the question was correct, maybe, but my point is that Mr. Fardid picked some maybe correct element from the thoughts of Mr. Heidegger, but he gave us a wrong address. So in place of coming back or going back to our roots, he said that we have to go back under the authority and supervision of the Shia clerics, religious religious authority. This is the wrong address, because
there is a correct analysis, maybe, and the answer, the solution proposal to this maybe correct analysis is a wrong path, is a destructive path. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, anyhow, this phenomena is new to us. I mean that the technology and AI, for example, as one of the manifestation of the new technology, and Mr. Heidegger maybe have seen correctly that the future, that now we are in the future of him. But anyhow, we cannot avoid I mean that the progress of in technology, the progress will be gone we've begun, I mean, yes, but we cannot avoid, we cannot stop the wheel of technology from turning. So just we have to, yes, we have to come back maybe to our roots. But our roots, I think that should be mean about our humanity. The roots is in our own humanity. If we consider that the elements of humanity since 1,000 years ago have never been changed. All the human values are always the same and always fixed. So, but Mr. Fardid, I think that intentionally has confused the humanity and the humanity of the roots of humanity with the authority of the religious leaders, religious clerics, and it's very important. We can see later also in other Middle East region, even in Arabic region, that also they gave, maybe they followed also the school of thought of Mr. Fardid, and they gave also the wrong address, and they invited the people to come back, to go back to our roots, but they go back to under the supervision, under the control, under the authority of the clerics, of the religious clerics. And this is the question, sorry, this is the answer to this very important and crucial question that why and how and under which circumstance and within which procedure the intellectuals who they usually they have to be the pioneers for enlightenment, they followed the ignorance. They propagated, they advocated for ignorance and followed the ignorant religious cleric. And this question is more complex about the leftist. That they denied the religion at all, and they said that the religion belongs to the past. But maybe they went back to the past and they followed the ignorance, and this was also institutionalized in the philosophy of Iran after revolution. We can name, for example, first of all, I have to say that I have already pointed out that most of the policymakers in Iran, they were students of Mr. Fardid. One of most important of them is Mr. Davari, Mr. Reza Davari Ardakani, who is a prominent Iranian philosopher and academic. Now he is known for his philosophy and works in and precise, like Mr. Fardid, critic of the modernity, and he's especially critique the Western modernity and impact of the Iranian culture, and he advocates for going back to the authority of the religious. Officially, he is known as the philosophy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So this is a nickname that given to him in Iran, that he is a state philosopher. Like Mr. Ahmad Fardid, Mr. Davari was also very deeply influenced by the Martin Heidegger and his existential philosophy, particularly Heidegger's critique on the Western mystical and technology. However, Davari's engagement with Heidegger was more systematic and academic compared with the Fardid, who was more esoteric one. One of most aspect of Mr. Davari was that he makes some solution. He instructed solutions, yes, instructed solution to come back under the control of the religion and the religious leaders, and he tried to institutionalize this solution also in the university. He has two big position in Iran. He is in the Tehran University, and he in Department of Philosophy in Faculty of Philosophy in Tehran University, and also he is the president of the Iranian Academy of Science. And it's very important because we know that there was a dispute, between the followers of Heidegger and the followers of Karl Popper, and he is definitely against the Popper and against the Popperism. But I have to point out here that Karl Popper is known for two separate dimensions. Maybe you know one of them is for his advocating for freedom and democracy. You know that his very famous book, The Open Society and His Enemies, that he explains. But also he is known for his works on positivism. I don't know if does make sense for you that he has a very famous theory, not theory and teaching, maybe we said that. He says that each scientific theory can be valid if ever can be expired, can be rejected by another theory. This is very important because he makes an falsifiability for each theory. So each theory is valid when till the other theory rejected or make expired the new one, make expired the old one, the falsifiable aspect of the theory. In this sense, Mr. Ardakani was against Karl Popper because we know that the assumption of the religion is forever and they cannot never be rejected. But if we follow Karl Popper, then we have to expect that ever the what are accepted in the religion ever be rejected by the new theory that maybe we can find. That's why the assumptions of religion is always fixed and get old, but the assumptions in science can be renewed by the new assumptions.
They are evolving.
Yes, evolving, yes. And this was actually the big difference point between Mr. Ardakani and Karl Popper. That's why really the people who followed Karl Popper, I mean that the professors and the philosophers in Iran who showed that they had tendency to the Karl Popper theory, they were under pressure of the regime, and they were at danger to lose their job or to be retired before I mean that soon retired. The other name that I can give you here is Mr. Bijan Abdul Karimi. He was also one of the students of Mr. Ahmad Fardid. He is also a philosopher in Iran. He is known as philosopher, and he he teaches philosophy in the in Iranian university. I think in the Azad University. He is also by self graduated in Azad University. He has also very close ties with the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he also, like Mr. Fardid and Mr. Davari Ardakani, he is impressed by the existential philosophy of Mr. Heidegger, but also I have to mention that he is against and he is a critic of blind adherence of the Islamic traditions, in somehow not total, but anyhow he also is a critic of the modernity, and I mean that the manifestation of the modernity and values, like for example individualism, like secularism, like for example even democracy, and he believed that these accessories of the West civilization are not suitable for the Eastern societies, and the Eastern societies, especially like Iran, who had a rich tradition, he had history of tradition and history. They had to come back to go back to their own history and to their own what they have. But what is important that he, like the Mr. Fardid and Mr. Davari, gives the wrong address, and he doesn't make any distinction, he doesn't make any difference between the religious authority and the real legacy of I mean mystic or humanism or the other elements of the cultural Iranian culture. We have to be able to make a distinction between the supervision of the religious clerics and the other elements of our culture, because if we live in our culture, we can find that all the cultural known figures were also under pressure of the clerics authority, and they fought with this pressure. And precisely I can point out that since 16th century or 15th century, I mean that in Iran, which the Safavids took the power, actually we have no any cultural figure anymore. Anyhow, I mean that the golden age for the Islamic era was finished because of the domination of the cleric and because of supervision of the cleric authority. That's why we have to make a distinction. But maybe the people, because of too long, they cannot remember generation by generation, but just they can remember the authority of the religious leaders. This is the fault. This is the I mean that the mistake, and this is the wrong address that was given by the Mr. Fardid and his students. Of course, if we have any chance in the future, I will give more information about the other fields of influence of Mr. Fardid's ideas.
We will definitely continue this series because I realize there might be more fields of influence of Ahmad Fardid, for example, culture, filmmaking, and so on. And we want to trace back what is happening on this cultural level in Iran. But for now, I still have one question, Mr. Sajedi. Where do we see all these consequences of these thoughts in nowadays policy of the regime in Iran? Can you point out three aspects, for example?
Yes, for example, the West-Toxification was a principle in Iranian foreign policy, and they made an justification for ever enmity between Iran and West and the United States and Iran and Israel, because the Israel was one of also anyhow agents of the Western civilization in the Middle East. The other one is substituting. I have ever explained. I think the school of well, we cannot name give really the name of a school, but I mean that Akbariyun, I mean that the people who were against the reasoning, were against the rationalism, and they said that just we have to obey the narrations and the news we have heard from the saints and from our religious in the past, for example, and the opposition with the technology, and also we can see and kind of integration between the Akbaris in Shia form and also in Sunni form, and they make they made and such as in form of tourism, because they say that this civilization should be overthrown because we wait for another civilization. Of course, each part has own interpretation of the new civilization, but all three parts, I mean that in Shia form, in Sunni form, and in Russian interpretation, that all of these three, they have in alliance that this order of international order and this civilization that we are now is an poisoning civilization and should be overthrown. So we see that now there is an integration between these three flanks to overthrow this the civilization, but we don't know that. I mean that each of these flanks, which program they have for the other civilization, because any of them has a plan for worldwide ruling. For example, in Russia, they think about the Eurasian emperor. In Iran, they thought that the Islamic Caliphate over the world, but with the Shia leadership in Iran and the Sunni, they think the same, that the Caliphate like Ottoman, because actually they had recently and model an example of Caliphate emperor. So we see, but at this time we see that these three school of thoughts are integrating to overthrow the current civilization, and that's why we can find the trace of their steps and foots in all terrorist actions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sajedi. Till next time.
Yes, till next time.